I've bought and tested over 100 AliExpress cycling accessories. That's pretty much all I do on this YouTube channel. So I'm starting to get an idea of what is actually worth buying and what is not. So the 9 accessories I'm going to go through in this video are, for the most part, very good value. Just for some context, I've got all of this cycling gear at home. I think the real test of how good a product is after a few months, after the honeymoon period has kind of worn off, if I've got a choice of, let's say, 10 similar products, let's say 10 bike lights, for example, which bike light do I reach out for every time I leave the house to go for a ride? Those are the cycling accessories that I'm going to go through in this video. But first, it's sponsors like ROCKBROS that help keep this channel alive, because this is a small channel and buying and testing cycling gear continuously, it gets expensive. But everything in this video, except for the ROCKBROS gear, was bought with my own money. So a massive thanks to ROCKBROS. They just released some really cool gear, which I'll talk about a bit later on. Now, I'm going to start with one of the best-selling, best-reviewed cycling clothing accessories on AliExpress, and that is the NEWBOLER 5D cycling underwear. Now, these things have sold by the bucket load on AliExpress, with multiple stores having sold over 10,000 units, and I can kind of understand why. So you can see what they are, right? They're kind of bib shorts / underwear. They have a welcome deal on AliExpress. So if you're new to AliExpress, you can get them delivered to your door for less than $1. I'll drop links in the description to NEWBOLER's official AliExpress store, because it is important you buy from their official store rather than a third-party store if you can. But if you're not new to AliExpress, these shorts go for about $5 to $10. And I'm calling them shorts. They're not really shorts. They're more, I'd say, underwear. I like wearing these when I want to just go for a bike ride with normal shorts, but wearing normal shorts with no padding on either my road bike or even my mountain bike, it's just not very comfortable after anything more than a few minutes riding. So having these NEWBOLER cycling shorts / underwear underneath my normal shorts just gives you that extra bit of padding without having to wear full-on bib shorts. So for example, if I'm going out on the bike and plan to lock up my bike and have a walk around, these underwear / shorts are perfect. They're built very well. They seem like they'll last a long time. They're very stretchy as well, and they're very comfortable. The kind of comfort where you forget you're wearing them after literally just a few seconds of putting them on. And they're extremely breathable, with perforations going down both sides of the shorts. What I like about them the most is that they are very discreet. So when I wear these under my shorts, you can't see the padding of the bib shorts bulging out as though I'm wearing a full nappy. So I can walk around with shorts and this NEWBOLER underwear, and no one would know I'm wearing padded shorts under my actual shorts. That is the compromise though. The padding is thick. I mean, it's thick enough, but I wouldn't want to be riding 100-kilometer rides with just this padding. Like, proper thick bib shorts are definitely more comfortable for longer rides. But saying that, that's not what these NEWBOLER cycling shorts were designed for, right? They were designed for shorter rides when you don't want to wear full-on bib shorts. So yeah, I do recommend these, especially for $5 to $10 they're going for, like $5 to $10 shipped to your door. You can't really complain. And the reviews tend to agree with me, with thousands of 5-star reviews, providing you're not expecting these to completely replace your bib shorts for 100k plus rides. And also, just as a side note, because I'm quite proud of this, so about 1.5 months ago, I launched my first ever newsletter. And as of today, 667 of you have already signed up. It's growing way faster than I ever thought it would, because as you know, I review a lot of AliExpress cycling gear. And what I did is essentially create a leaderboard where I score every product I've ever reviewed and essentially add them all to one big leaderboard. So you can see immediately what's worth buying and what's not. So I'll drop a link in the description below to the leaderboard. It's completely for free, of course, and the first email I send you will give you access to that leaderboard. So to the 667 people that have already signed up, thank you so much for your support. And now on to the next AliExpress cycling accessory, which is the RYET 3D printed carbon bike saddle. Now, this is not the RYET 3D printed carbon saddle. That is over there. I don't think you can see it, but I can't bring my whole bike over here. Anyway, 3 months ago, I was researching on getting a more comfortable saddle for my bike. So of course, I spent a while browsing Reddit, and RYET saddles kept coming up again and again and again. And people were talking about them very highly, with some people mentioning they'd rode over 100 kilometers on RYET saddles with no issues at all. So I opened up my wallet and I spent $51.74 of my own money on a RYET 3D saddle. Now, looking back, I probably could have found a better deal since other retailers offer the same model for less than $40. I'll link those in the description. After waiting, I think it took about 3 weeks to arrive. And I've been riding with the RYET saddle for about 2 months now, both on my indoor trainer and as my outdoor road bike as well. So I have a good idea of what it's all about. So firstly, the comfort level, very, very good. Upon installing it, my expectations were quite low given its noticeably firmer construction. So this is the stock Trek saddle that I took off the bike. And this Trek saddle is actually softer than my firmer RYET saddle. So I was a bit skeptical because I thought, well, if this is softer, then surely this is going to be more comfortable than the RYET saddle. Actually, it wasn't. The RYET was more comfortable than the Trek saddle. So my Trek's original saddle was already not too bad, earning perhaps a 7 out of 10 in terms of comfort, whereas the RYET saddle would get, I'd say, an 8 out of 10. Extended rides beyond 3 hours, including sessions with my clip-on aero bars, remain comfortable throughout. The carbon construction keeps weight reasonable at about 165 to 185 grams, depending on sizing, compared to the plastic variant, which adds roughly 70 grams. My overall impression is positive, except for one area, which is RYET's customer service. So I often test a company's customer service before buying on AliExpress by asking basically a very simple question. RYET's customer service wasn't great, to say the least. So when I messaged them with a very basic question asking which saddle they could recommend I buy, they responded by just sending me links to all of their saddles. No recommendations, no guidance, just a link to all of their saddles, which I could already access through their store anyway. As for the product itself though, I recommend it if your current saddle is quite uncomfortable. However, since my Trek stock saddle was already reasonably comfortable, the RYET represents only a modest upgrade rather than some kind of transformative improvement. Keep in mind that saddle preferences obviously vary between individuals. Your mileage may vary on whether or not this actual saddle is comfortable for you. I test a lot of cycling gear on this channel, and I found that making good cycling gear in some categories is relatively easy, but in other categories, it's a lot more challenging. Cycling jerseys, for example, is a very saturated space. There are so many manufacturers out there making cycling jerseys. So then it's like, okay, how do you differentiate your cycling jersey from the other 50 plus manufacturers that are also making cycling jerseys? However, with the ROCKBROS cycling jersey, I've got one here in white and I've got another one here in black. They have somehow managed to differentiate their cycling jerseys from the gazillions already out there. So I've been buying and using ROCKBROS gear since day one of starting this YouTube channel. As a company, they've been around for more than 15 years. And as you probably know, they specialize in cycling gear and accessories, but they focus on providing cyclists with a one-stop solution for all their cycling needs. So they sell pretty much everything, as you're going to see shortly in this video, from cycling clothing to water bottles, bike lights, to sunglasses. So yeah, everything. So what have ROCKBROS done to their cycling jerseys to make them stand out from, I've got about 15 or 20 other cycling jerseys in my wardrobe. And it is this diamond fabric. It feels so premium. It's hard to articulate this on camera because you can't just reach out into your screen and touch it. It's even hard to show on camera. I did try to film it, but my not so good videography skills don't really give it justice. You can see the 3D patterning with the image on the right. So I've not seen this kind of patterning technology before, on a cycling jersey at least, but it does feel very premium. And in the words of ROCKBROS, the main body of the top is made of 3-dimensional dimensional, breathable, small checkered fabric with microporous circulation and breathable, saying goodbye to sultry heat and stickiness. So there you go. With this jersey, you're saying goodbye to sultry heat and stickiness. It is extremely comfortable, better for hot weather riding because it's very breathable. And for reference, I'm 183 centimeters and 75 kilograms, and I got a size XL, which fits me nicely. This black one is still a little bit wet because I took it for a ride in the morning and it was raining and I put it in the wash. So now it's clean, but still a little bit damp. And according to ROCKBROS, this jersey fits slim, it's thin and it's high in elasticity and it feels so incredibly soft. And I'd agree with all of that. The jerseys come in, as you can see, black or white. And I like wearing the black more, partly because I like the black and gold combination, but also it's rain season here where I live, so I'm riding in the rain quite a lot. This morning it was raining pretty much the whole ride. The black colour tends to hide the mud splatter from my back wheel quite well. You can see here I have muddy water splatter all up my back, and it's not too noticeable, at least compared with if I was wearing a white jersey. The nice thing about the white jersey though is you're more visible in the traffic, so it's kind of swings and roundabouts, pros and cons, it's completely up to you. Okay, so next we have the ROCKBROS cycling jersey, and this is also black and gold. I love that black and gold combination. I don't know what it is about black and gold, but I like that my sunglasses, jersey, bib shorts, shoes and socks all match with each other. I just need a black and gold bike now. But these bib shorts, very, very comfortable. They're made with 75% nylon and 25% lycra, so extremely soft and stretchy. They have a seamless one-piece design with no stitching except for where the chamois and the straps are attached, ensuring greater comfort while riding. The chamois is comfortable too. According to ROCKBROS, the padding is from an Italian company called Dolomiti. So it's not just some cheap padding they've thrown in as an afterthought. They've really put thought and R&D into these bib shorts. The padding is probably the best quality. I've got maybe, I don't know, 7, 8, maybe 9 or 10 bib shorts. The padding, I think, is the best quality padding that I have seen in bib shorts. However, I would have liked to have had the padding slightly thicker. I've taken these on some quite long rides, well, long for me, 80 kilometers plus. And while they perform well overall, I did notice the padding could benefit from being very slightly thicker for those longer distances. I also like, again, this is just personal preference, but I like how the straps are white because I do have a couple of white jerseys. I have one right here, the ROCKBROS. And if you had black straps, you can see them very clearly under the jersey, but with these white straps, they are far less noticeable, whether I'm wearing a dark colored jersey or a light colored jersey. And for reference, I'm 183 centimeters, 75 kilograms, and I got a size XL bib shorts, which fit me very well indeed. Next, we have the ROCKBROS Road to Sky cycling socks. So these are the same or very similar material to the ROCKBROS jersey. And they've got this kind of diamond design on them that make them look and feel a lot more expensive than they were. So ROCKBROS say they're called rhombus base yarn, which helps wick sweat away. But more importantly, when you pull them up, the elastic here, it actually holds them up so they don't kind of come down as you're riding. But again, they're selling by the bucket load on AliExpress with over 5,000 sales, 1,184 reviews and 4.9 stars. And they're less than $5. I really can't fault them at all, especially for the price tag. So yes, very much recommend. But out of all of these products, it was the ROCKBROS NR3 cycling shoes that were, for me, the biggest surprise. So these are by far the most comfortable cycling shoes I've ever worn. They're also made of very premium materials. So you can see the upper is made from TPU material and 3D weaving technology, providing very good abrasion resistance, breathability, and effective heat dissipation. I really like the 3D weaving material that they've used here. They just look a lot more expensive than they were. The 3D weaving material is also very easy to clean. So I also wore these this morning and it was raining pretty hard for most of the ride, and I cleaned them just with a wet wipe and the mud just brushes right off. By now I've ridden these maybe 400 or 500 kilometers with these, and they still look like new. Even though I've ridden with them in torrential rain like this morning, a couple of rides I came home with these and they were basically brown with mud, but the mud cleans off very easily, as I mentioned. They also have what ROCKBROS called an dual dial design, which are 2 dials that act as basically a micro adjustment function, so you can get the perfect fit every time. They're very secure, and once they're locked in, they're not loosening up, and you get this kind of very strong wraparound feel. They're also convenient because you can just adjust them while you're riding. You just stop pedaling, you reach down, you adjust the dial, and you're good to go. The sole is designed with a scale marking here, offering a better personalized fit. As with all my bike shoes and bikes for that matter, I had mine properly adjusted at my local bike fit, so they really do fit perfectly. At least for me, they fit true to size. I'm size 9.5 US and this shoe is size 9.5 US, and they fit perfectly. For reference, they weigh in at 267.5 grams. That's without the cleats, and this is the NR3 version, which is the version with the double nylon sole. The upgrade from this version is the CR5, which is selling for about $30 more. But with the CR5, they have T500 carbon fiber soles, which of course will be very slightly lighter. As always, I'll drop links to ROCKBROS' official AliExpress store in the description below if you do want to check any of these products out. These shoes have become my main cycling shoes that I now use pretty much every single time I ride. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I think the real test of how good a product is if I've got a choice of 10 similar products, let's say 10 bike tire pumps, which one do I reach for every time I leave the house to go for a ride? And for me, when I want to pump my tires up, which is every time I go for a ride because I run tubeless, by default, without thinking, I always reach for the Xiaomi Mijia electric bike pump 2. So I bought this bike pump, again with my own money, about a year ago now, and I think I paid about $45 for it. Apparently, according to AliExpress, it's usually sold for $99 and it's now on offer for $42.06. I don't quite believe that. I think $42 is the normal price. I'll drop the link to this specific model in the description below, because if you are going to buy this, make sure that you buy the version 2, not the version 1, because the version 2 has a USB-C port down here, whereas the version 1, I can't open it, whereas the version 1 has an ancient micro USB port. It's also sold over 3,000 units with 302 reviews, averaging 4.8 stars. And I can see why. It's a very good bike pump. It's not just a bike pump for bike tires, but it can also be used for car tires, motorbike tires, air mattresses, footballs. It's just a very handy gadget to have around the house. And I know a lot of you guys still use the manual pump action bike pumps, which are absolutely fine, each to their own. I just personally prefer pressing a button and having my tires pumped up as opposed to manually pumping. With this, you just choose whether you're pumping up a motorbike tire, a bicycle tire, a scooter tire, or a basketball. Then you set the PSI and press the middle button and it turns on. There are a few downsides now to this pump. The first one is that you do have to charge it. I mean, I charge mine once every 2 months, which is one of the main reasons why I choose this bigger pump over some of the other smaller, more pocketable pumps, which those smaller electric pumps, I have to charge them after just a few uses, which isn't practical. Another downside, it is quite big. So you're not going to just fit this in your jersey pocket. I mean, you could technically, but it wouldn't be very comfortable. This stays at home, and if I do need to bring a bike pump with me, I'll bring one of the smaller ones that actually does fit in my bike pocket. And the third downside is it is quite loud. It's quieter than all, actually, of my other electric pumps. It's not deafeningly loud, but it's loud enough that I wouldn't want to be using this pump before an early 5 a.m. Sunday morning ride, because I'd wake up the entire apartment and probably my neighbours too. But like I said, out of all the pumps I own, I end up reaching for this probably 95, maybe 98% of the time. Another product that has stood the test of time is this Magicshine HORI 900 bike light. Now, I've mentioned this a few times on the channel. I really love this light. At this point, I think I have over maybe 20 bike lights from AliExpress, but it's the Magicshine HORI 900, which is the front bike light that I reach for probably 90, maybe 85% of the time I go for a ride. Now, this HORI 900 has 2 features that make it stand out from every other bike light I own. First off, the beam cutoff is next level. Even lights that supposedly have anti-glare features don't come anywhere close to this. So the HORI 900 produces this sharp line where the light ends, so you're lighting up the road perfectly in front of you while not dazzling drivers coming the other way. But it's not just about stopping glare, it's how this light spreads the beam. Rather than giving you that narrow spotlight tunnel that most lights have, it delivers this kind of broad, consistent illumination that just makes night riding that slight bit safer. The second feature is the mounting system on the top. So you can bolt your Garmin head unit, a GoPro, or basically any action camera straight onto the light. It includes mounts for Garmin, Wahoo computers, and GoPro fittings. Now, this might seem minor, but it tidies up your entire cockpit and makes everything look way more streamlined. Like every Magicshine product I've tried, the construction is top-notch, rock-solid aluminium build that looks like it could take a beating from a freight train. And at 900 lumens, it nails that perfect balance where you've got serious brightness for pitch black rural roads, but it's not overkill for urban commuting. The runtime is solid too, at about, I think it was 30.5 hours on the dimmest setting, and even cranked up to maximum 900 lumens, you'll get about 1.5 hours. There's also an app that lets you dial in custom modes, tweak brightness settings, and link to their remote setup. Magicshine calls this their FTR light sync system, which stands for front light, tail light, and remote. One click fires up both your front and rear lights at once, and they'll even pulse together, which actually looks pretty cool. Now, onto the things that I think could be improved. Well, firstly, since we're talking about the app, I've never really used the app. It's nice to have, but I've just never used it. Secondly, it's IPX6 waterproof, so rain, spray from puddles, and even hosing down your bike shouldn't damage it. But it would have been nice to see IPX7 like some other bike lights have at this price range. Not a deal breaker, but just something I feel could have been improved. Although saying that, if they did make it IPX7 waterproof, maybe it would increase the price slightly, I don't know. Another negative, and I'm not really sure if this is a negative, I'm just being a bit nitpicky here, but it's 107 grams. That's not heavy by any stretch for a bike light, but it's also not super light either. This thing is built very, very, very well with an aluminium alloy case. So if you're a weight weenie, there are lighter lights on the market. You can buy this direct from AliExpress, or you can buy directly from Magicshine's website, which might actually be cheaper since you're buying direct. And if you do buy direct, you can use discount code triathlonmike15 at checkout for 15% discount across the website. As always, I'll drop links to both AliExpress and Magicshine's website in the description below. And next we have one of my favorite, I'll just go and get it, the Amazfit BIP 6 smartwatch. Now on this list, this is the product that caught me completely off guard. I'm not wearing it right now. I'll tell you a bit later why I'm not wearing it and why I'm wearing my Garmin. But a few months back, I bought this again with my own money. I think I paid $70 to $80. And honestly, my expectations were pretty low. I mean, at the same time, I grabbed this Garmin Forerunner 570 for $550. So we're talking about a 7 times price difference compared to this Amazfit BIP 6. So I was expecting a bit of a toy watch, but the moment I unboxed it, I was really impressed by the build quality and how premium it actually felt in my hands. This thing feels incredibly sturdy, way beyond what you'd expect for like $70 to $80. In fact, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the construction quality on this watch is the same, if not better, than my Garmin Forerunner 570, which cost me $550. And that's quite the comparison, the fact that Amazfit can build an $80 watch to the same level, if not better build quality than a $550 watch. That's pretty impressive. I was equally blown away by what this thing can actually do. So it packs 140 different workout modes, including high rocks race and strength training, along with personalized AI coaching and 50-meter water resistance. The battery life of up to 14 days is also impressive, and that again actually beats my Garmin Forerunner that has about 11 days of battery life. Just to put that into context, I also have an Apple Watch Series 9 that barely makes it through 1.5 days, and that thing costs about $400. So yeah, battery performance is incredible. Now, you're probably thinking the battery lasts forever because the screen must be quite dim, right? Well, you'd be wrong. The screen is actually really vibrant. So it's got a 1.97 inch AMOLED display that looks way better than you'd expect from a watch at this price point. The GPS tracking and navigation works really well too. You can follow routes with free map downloads and get turn-by-turn directions. It connects to 5 different satellite systems for accurate tracking and super quick GPS lock-on. So I figured that the Garmin would provide way more comprehensive data than the Amazfit, and while it does provide more, it's not dramatically more, if that makes sense. Like, after a cycling session or run, the Amazfit still gives me a full breakdown, including time and distance. It shows me the aerobic and anaerobic impact of my workout. It tells me my estimated recovery time before the next hard session. It even calculates my VO2 max on an $80 watch. So I really do like this watch, especially for the price. It's ridiculously good value for money, but it's not perfect, and I'm going to tell you why I'm not wearing it now. Instead, I'm wearing my Garmin Forerunner. So this is my biggest gripe with this watch, and it's, again, just a personal thing, since I've got quite small wrists and I lean towards watches with a more compact face. The Amazfit is just a bit too big for my wrist. You can see in this image how it kind of takes over my whole wrist. Even with Garmin Forerunners, I always go for the smaller version because of my wrist size. So the Amazfit 6 only comes in this one size. Another issue is that since the Amazfit BIP 6 launched just recently, at least at the recording of this video, the latest model isn't available yet on Amazfit's official AliExpress store. They're still only offering the older model, the BIP 5. Though by the time you're watching this, they might have it available. And if they do, I'll link the official Amazfit store because, as always, it's worth buying from the official store on AliExpress versus a third party. Otherwise, I can confirm for sure they're selling it on Amazon through their official store. They've sold over 5,000 units just last month with 1,513 reviews, averaging 4.5 out of 5 stars. So not bad at all. I'll put a link to the official Amazfit Amazon store in the description as well. And one final negative about the Amazfit BIP 6, and this might be controversial since it's purely my preference, but I just love my Garmin Forerunner 570. It's absolutely overpriced, but it's one of the few overpriced things I don't mind paying a premium for because I use it every single day, multiple times a day. It makes me a healthier person and it makes me a happier person, if that makes sense. So I love my Garmin and I wouldn't have it any other way, as much as this is an amazing watch. As with everything in this video, I'll drop links in the description below to the authorized sellers. It's always best when you're buying from AliExpress or even Amazon for that matter that you buy from the brand's authorized seller rather than a third party. And if you like this video, I've reviewed so many more AliExpress cycling accessories. You can click on either of these videos to watch those. Alternatively, I review my #1 AliExpress bike upgrade, the Elite Wheels ENT 2.0. You can watch that review right there.